Hey everybody, Josh here with Mentor Public Library, bringing you another episode of Artpocalypse, our weekly arts and crafts video series, back again for 2021. We're gonna do some cool stuff, so let's get started. For today's craft, I'm gonna show you guys how to build your own tapestry loom. It's gonna end up looking hopefully something like the one that I already have. So we'll set that one aside and we'll play with that in a bit once we get this one set up. So what you're gonna need for this are two equal size pieces of cardboard. They can be lengthwise, widthwise, whatever you want, whatever you feel comfortable working with in terms of weaving. Pick out something sturdy because you're going to put a lot of tension on it, so you don't want it to just buckle in half. And that's also why you have two pieces. So you got those two, and then from hopefully the same cardboard box, you can cut two 4-inch long strips of cardboard that are the same width as your board. And then you'll also need a ruler, a cutting device, and a hot glue gun. Or if you're not safe, don't feel safe using a hot glue gun, just use regular glue and you'll just have to wait longer. Okay, so take your two pieces of cardboard and your hot glue gun and then just go crazy. And keep some hot glue sticks handy because you're going to want to use a lot here. And don't touch this because, as we've learned in previous videos, you can lose your fingerprints. So just be careful when you're using this. And this is just to secure this on top of here so this doesn't have to look pretty. And just secure that there. Okay. So that's set. You take your two strips of cardboard and then measure an inch on along the whole thing. So you have three different quadrants here. You just mark with a pen 1, 2, 3 on either end, and then use your ruler to cut a straight line down. I already pre-scored this so I can just do it easier for video, hopefully. Then do the same on the other one. And these don't, like I say in every video, these don't have to be perfect. You'll see what we're going to do here in just a second. Okay. So now you have 8 little inch-long strips. So take your glue gun again and start securing these on top of each other. So once those are done, the function of these is going to be to raise up your yarn on your board, so that way if you need to get under your weaving, you can do so without like jamming your hands under or running along the weaving. So these guys, you take a measurement on this board, probably about like a, let's say, 1/2 inch, right? Just mark, I don't have a pen handy, but just mark about a 1/2 inch down. And then for the ease of video, I've already marked these, but you're going to want to take your ruler and mark every 1/4 inch along the bottom and the top. So you'd want to mark a 1/2 inch down for these guys, and then a 1/4 inch along either side, right? So we're all on the same page. And then you take your hot glue one more time. Put that on the 1/2 inch mark. Same thing on the other side. Presto changeo. Okay. I just burned myself a little with hot glue, so again, be careful. So that's the basis of it. And then easiest thing, I don't have scissors handy, but easiest thing would be to cut into each mark that you made through both pieces of cardboard. And this would take a while, so I don't know that we need to film me doing the whole thing, but you just cut each little guy across, and that's going to be one of the little pegs that holds your yarn. And then you're set once you do that. So once you have made all of your cuts, you're ready to start weaving. So I usually pick a thinner string or yarn for this part of it, and then you can choose something more bulky when you're weaving, because what you're doing is showcasing the yarn that you're actually physically weaving with. So you don't want this showing through too much, unless that's what you're going for. So tie a knot in the end of it, like so, just so it has somewhere to catch, because what you're going to do is thread it through these little slits that you made here. And then just start going back and forth. I started a little bit in from the ends just because my ends are a little bit flimsy. If you find that when you made this that your ends won't really hold anything, something I would recommend, you can either run some hot glue across the ends before you make your cut, or if you make another one because it's just cardboard, or if you want to cut these off and pry these off and start again on the same thing, just have a smaller warp space, or I'm using weaving terms without even thinking, but the warp is what this is the string that runs back and forth across here under tension.
So the area between those would be the warp zone?
The warp zone, yes, Jason. Okay, so then you run it from one end to the other, and then go under, like between them and behind, and then up through the next one. Which I don't know how well this is going to pick up on camera, but we'll make it work. Whoop. Go back and forth. And this is honestly the longest part of weaving, is setting up this. So if this feels like eternity, just know that eternity has an end, which is a ridiculous thing to say, but I know a lot of people who weave who are like, oh, setting up the warp is like, takes forever. And it's true, it does, but the reward is something awesome. Presto changeo! This is the loom that I made that I've been working on for a little bit. So you can see that your imagination is the limit. I'm just doing some weird abstract stuff with some cool colors. So to actually weave, I'm going to show you guys how this works. You can pick these up at Michael's. This is just called like a tapestry needle. You can also just use a ruler or anything really, because basically all you're going to do here is over, under is all you really need to remember for like the most basic of weaving. So you can see my last row that I did here, like the yarn is coming over this one. So I'm going to start this little row here by going under that strand and over the next one, under, over, over. And then just go all the way across. And then what I'll usually do is if you're going across the whole thing, that's where it's helpful to have a ruler or something. But if you're just doing little sections of color, you can use your needle and just shove that yarn down so that it stays a little closer to the last row. And then you just pull your yarn through. And then that's another little trick that I just did without mentioning, is that once you're pulling the yarn through, you're going to want to hold with your thumb and your forefinger just that little end bit so that it doesn't pull through all the way. Because I did this not intentionally, but for the effect of having the warp show through. If you start pulling too hard on the ends, these are going to start coming in more, and it's going to make that dramatic shape. Which, if you don't want that, if you just want a square, then you need to hold this and not pull it too tight. So then See, this yarn came over that last one. So we'll go under this first one, over, under, over, under. And keep going. And again, use that to push that down. It's called beating. Beating with a B or T. Hello, both. I need more coffee. It's fine. So yeah. And if you do end up pulling it too tight, you can, well, you just pull it like on either end to sort of balance it out. And then you just keep going forever and ever. And you can do, like I said, whatever you want. Like you can see that I'm just making random shapes out of these different colors. So your imagination is the limitation, by which I mean that you have no limitations when it comes to what you can make with this. Okay. So let's say that this is done, that I'm finished with this project. The only other thing you're going to want to do, take your scissors, and then you don't want to cut all of it at once unless you really believe in yourself, but cut 2 of these strands off, and you can either tie them in a knot, if I can get my hands to work. There we go. This is going to build in some fringe on the end. If you do this method, you just simply tie it and then basically do the same thing all the way across. Just cut 2, tie them. Or you can cut the whole thing and then run this edge through your sewing machine, and that'll seal it off. So that way the threads won't come down or move around or anything like that. And that's how you finish.